Grand Rising, loved ones. Welcome back to another episode of Healing Wisdom with me, your favorite spiritual advisor, Empress Oracle. I hope everybody's doing well today. It's the start of a new week. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And also, I want to express gratitude to everybody who is called to watch my videos in its entirety. I appreciate you. Eternal thanks and gratitude. Before we get started with our topic, let me go ahead and start off with our spiritual copyright disclaimer. On behalf of Starseed Galactic Federation, I have been given access to this knowledgeable information from my Akashic records for the purpose of helping humanity. This information is given directly to me as a divine channel, and any use or reproduction of this information without the proper accreditation or acknowledgement from which this information was received will result in instant karma for the plagiarizing parties or individual, and so it is. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead over to the topic. So today I would like to talk to you guys about living in the past. You know, that's something that a lot of people have a habit of living in the past. They let their past circumstances, trials, tribulations, shortcomings, failures hold them back. And that's something that we as a people, all of us, because myself included, you know, I'm having a human experience as well. And a lot of times I can get caught up in past experiences. And what I have realized is that can really hold you back, you know, from a lot of things that you want to accomplish, a lot of new experiences, whether you realize it or not. Because sometimes when you go through a lot of traumatic experiences, it tends to seep into your subconscious. So you might not even realize on a subconscious level how you're limiting yourself or how you are traumatized. And a lot of times that is due to a traumatic experience that in turn gives you PTSD, which I'm sure you all have heard of, and I have the definition right here for you. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a mental and behavioral disorder that can develop because of exposure to a traumatic event. Symptoms may include disturbing thoughts, feelings, or dreams related to the incident, attempts to avoid trauma-related cues, altercations to thoughts and feelings, and increase in the fight or flight response. Now, we all know about the fight or flight response because we should have learned that in school, but just in case you have not, whenever you have a triggering instance in your life or a traumatic or a life-breaking, groundbreaking, ground-shaking, whatever you want to say, a pivotal moment in your life where you have to respond in a certain way, you may be caught off guard from whatever it is, the circumstances. It may be an emergency. You know, you may just get put on the spot for something. You know, it could be as simple as somebody having a surprise engagement party for you, because you're so you have already had ingrained a traumatic event, say where you got jumped in a large crowd of people, and you may see the large crowd of people and they might be there for something happy for you, but because you still have PTSD, you run. So the whole engagement is ruined. You know, you ruin Bae's plans and everything, and it's just because you have PTSD. Whenever you see large crowds, you automatically think, okay, I'm about to get jumped again. Let me get the fuck up out of here, and you just ruin the surprise, right? A person with PTSD is at a higher risk of suicide and intentional self-harm, and that also is very true. There are a lot of people, especially me, being a veteran, I have come across a lot of other veterans who have had very traumatic, you know, experiences in the military, and they use self-harm, intentional self-harm as coping mechanisms. And not just veterans as well. I know a lot of people who have had a rough upbringing or have had traumatic instances in their life, and from that they're just never quite the same. They can't seem to pick up the pieces appropriately, and instead they find methods to cope that are harmful, whether it's instantly or long term. It could be from them deciding they want to rock out and snort a whole 8-ball that night, or they may become fully functioning alcoholics drinking, 24 packs of beers a night, which in the long term is going to give them severe internal damage, right? It's just like that. What I want to come and tell you guys, because this is something that I realized that I have struggled with, and I still struggle with at certain times to this day, subconsciously. But the more that I evolve and the more that I awaken, the more I realize that I may have PTSD in certain areas. But the thing is, we have to stop living in the past. What I realized the other day, and I gave it to the universe and I just let go, I was just mulling over my life because, it's important to never forget where you came from. Because how do you know where you're going? How do you know the progress that you have made if you don't remember where you came from? But in my review, in my life review of the things that I've been through and where I came from, there were a lot of instances of traumatic experiences that even just in thought, it was still triggering me. And I said, okay, that can be considered a form of PTSD because I'm still holding on to those feelings. And when you hold on to certain feelings from certain interactions or negative traumatic experiences, that can stop you from your soul's evolution. That can stop you from your own personal growth, not just spiritually, but mentally, emotionally, physically. It can inhibit you from having the type of loving, nurturing relationships that you want, not just in interpersonal relationship, a sexual partner or a significant other, but also that can affect your work environment, that can affect your friendships, that can affect your whole family dynamic. Okay, there are a lot of people who, because of how they were raised as children, they let that affect them and they end up with PTSD. And so that triggers them to parent a certain way, which may be unhealthy for their children. Okay, now that part is not me, but that is an example that Spirit just gave me. So I don't know who that's for, but certain ways how you react and certain ways how you parent may be because of post-traumatic stress disorder. If you keep on reliving events that happen to you, you are not healing from it. In order to really get over PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, you have to learn how to deal with those, cycle through those feelings, cycle through those emotions, and you have to find a creative way to, a catharsis, should I say, a creative way to express and release those feelings and those emotions to the universe and to the environment, okay? You can always, always, always transmute any negative feelings, experiences, or emotions into something positive. That is the best way to heal. That is why you see a lot of people who have gone through highly traumatic events. You see a lot of recovering drug addicts. You see a lot of sexual abuse victims and stuff. And instead of living with their trauma and helping their PTSD to culminate into something greater that's going to stop them from life, they choose to transmute that. And from there, they go on and they become motivational speakers. They go and they reach out to communities and help people who are going through or have been in the same circumstances as themselves. And that is something that we all should do. Me, myself, I try to do it by giving back with my healing wisdom from my experiences, but there's also more that I can do. And there's also other things that you all can do as well that not only will help you to heal from your past traumatic experiences, but while you are healing, you can heal others. Because what we have to realize is by living in the past, we are becoming captives and victims of our own mind. And that is not something that we should ever do. The trick is you have to transmute it, as I said before. That is a level that we all need to reach in life because it's levels to this shit. There's levels to growth. There's levels to evolvement, self-evolution, self-progress. It is a trap. If you choose to get caught up in that simulation of that post-traumatic stress disorder, then you are confining yourself to a box, and that is going to inhibit you from your evolution. Every experience that we go through, whether it's traumatic or not, it should not be taken as a long-term sense of abuse. It should be taken as a lesson for us to evolve, for us to look at it, step outside of ourselves. We have to learn how to separate ourselves from our emotions and our feelings, especially the ones that are negatively attached to any traumatic situation. And we have to realize that the fact that we made it through that situation of sound mind and body for the most part, because nobody is perfect, that right there is a blessing in itself. And we should be able to use that to evolve and to help others. 9 times out of 10, all of these experiences that you go through, they are a part of your soul contract because there's something that you needed to learn from that experience. And certain lessons can only be learned in certain ways. And unfortunately, a lot of people learn the most intense lessons through trauma. Now, it is up to us to choose if we want the fight or flight response to our trauma. A lot of people have a tendency to go with the flight response because a lot of times it's easier to just run away from your issues, act like it doesn't exist, etc., etc. However, all that does is just help to form more PTSD, whether you realize it or not, because all of that stuff will sit inside of you and it will fester and it will grow. Even if you don't address it daily, that's when it'll start coming up in your subconscious. That's when you'll start having nightmares about things, waking up in cold sweats. That's when you'll start developing OCD in areas where you never had OCD before because you are unhealed. That is a post-traumatic stress disorder response, OCD, when you become overly cautious to the point where you are forgetting to live, where you are forgetting to enjoy life and experience situations because you are afraid that something from the past is going to happen again. We have to learn how to release those negative energies, those negative feelings and thoughts and vibrations to the universe and allow spirit and source to be our guides, You know, and a lot of times, a lot of people, because they are so traumatized, they would rather choose various forms of escapism, also to include suicide. And I'm going to tell you something. If it was your destiny to live a short life, you would not be here right now. Do not try to take the easy way out through suicide, because all that is going to happen, because as I say to you constantly, your soul is energy. We are all made up of energy. Our outside body, our flesh shoots, that is just the flesh. We are all made up of energy. So your energy was going to transfer to another form, and you are going to have to keep on repeating those cycles until you successfully learn those lessons and learn how to transmute it in a positive way for your soul's growth. That is why it is very, very, very important for us to not live in the past. I'm not saying to forget where you came from, because in order to know where you're going, you have to remember where you came from. But you never let those experiences, whether they were good or bad, you never let them hold you back. You never let them define you. You never let them hold you captive, okay? Don't be a captive in your own mind. That is one thing. The mind is a very powerful thing. The mind will make you feel as though you are trapped when you are outside in an open field. It is up to us to be cognizant of the ways that we can get over our stressors. Whether you feel comfortable with talking to someone, if not, as I said before, then you find a healthy catharsis. Listen to music, listen to the messages. Make sure you listen to uplifting things that are going to guide you. If you prefer to read and you don't want to talk to anybody, you may find the information you're looking for in a book. But most of all, I'm going to tell you, pray, speak to God, speak to your ancestors, speak to your guardian angels, your guides, and they will help you to come out of the darkness. Trust you me, y'all. I know, I've been there. And although I'm still working through it, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be easy. So the same way that we did not end up with PTSD overnight, you are not going to get over your PTSD overnight. The thing is to keep on trying, keep striving, one foot in front of the other. Every day is progress. Every day that a negative thought or a negative memory comes up in your mind and you are able to shoot that down and say, no, that is not today. That is not my current situation. That is not my truth. Every day that you're able to do that is one step towards healing, okay? And the only person who can truly, truly heal you is you. That's why it's very important for you to pray to your higher source, whoever you believe in, and ask for that guidance, ask for that strength, and continue to truck forward. Some days are going to feel as though you relapse. When you relapse, that means you've made a certain amount of progress, and then all of a sudden, all of that, is just unfolded and you're right back at square one. That is what relapsing is. However, sometimes that is just a test. That's what we have to realize is in life, we have a lot of tests, and a lot of our tests may be disguised in traumatic packages. It may be described or hidden in past thoughts, feelings, emotions to see, are you truly healed? Are you truly evolved? Are you ready to take the next step? Have you truly made progress? Have you really done the work? That is something that we need to understand. And by living in the past, now I'm not saying by remembering your past, but by living in the past and keeping on reviving those old feelings every day and refreshing them and continuing to give life to those negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions, the only thing that you are doing is holding yourself back. So stop living in the past. And remember, the only way to go from rock bottom is up. With that being said, don't forget to check out my Etsy shop, Empress Oracle Shop, where I have all types of healing crystals that can help you on your journey, help you to stay grounded. And also, too, I have descriptions of crystals that also can help you with outside stressors such as PTSD and any other environmental influences. With that being said, be safe, and I love you all.